family members, all of our community members, all of our employees for being, and our board for being very patient in this process. We know that this process has been extremely fluid, being able to make some of the hard and right decisions to help us further protect our students, further protect the working conditions of our adults. And as we know that COVID-19 in the variant continues to impact our community at scale. So please know that we understand the severity of what we are facing every single day. We understand also the executive order that kind of puts us and defines our availabilities as a school district. As superintendent, my job every day is not only to make certain that we focus on moving the instructional needle and preparing our children for jobs that do not exist, but also being able to make certain that we focus on the health and the safety of all of our students to ensure, and our employees to ensure that we have the necessary protocols in an effort to be successful. But today, the State Board of Education had an emergency meeting, and in that process, they talked about the health protocols related to the executive order and really how we should open as a school district within Hillsborough County and also across the state. And first, I want to make certain that all of our families understand that the executive order, it really comes to a point where if school districts elect and select to mandate mask without having an opt-out opportunity, then school districts will suffer financially. And from our side of it, we don't have the availability, and we are not in a financial footing to be able to give out any dollar and any cent away from our organization. And we're kind of stuck in a hard place related to make certain that we have strong protocols in place to further protect our students. And please know that as we move forward and open the school year in a few days, that we will strongly recommend masks in Hillsborough County Public Schools and make it optional. But we will strongly recommend, we will provide all of the PPE, all of the masks, all of the sanitation stations that are inclusive of wipes, inclusive of gloves, hand sanitizer, mask, all of those elements will be provided in every one of our classrooms to further protect our students and create that comfortability for every one of our learners. And in this new initiative that came out with through the State Board of Education, one thing it was very clear upon, in any way, shape, or form that a school district really truly threatens or harasses any of our students or our parents, and they feel that way related to protocols put in place, then those individuals get an opportunity to select and leverage the Hope Scholarship. Meaning that if we threaten, discriminate, dehumanize verbally, if we any kind of physical conduct at the same time, which includes mask requirements, if we create separation due to COVID protocols, any parent that feels that a decision that has been made by a school district and they feel uncomfortable with that related to COVID-19 and anything related to mask requirements, then that parent gets a chance to leverage the Hope Scholarship, meaning that that individual parent can leverage and move outside of our school district and transition to a private school. And from our standpoint internally, we want to make certain that we keep every one of our learners internally in our schools, as that brings an opportunity to continue to serve and activate their knowledge, at the same time bringing resources and funding to our school district to protect public education. With this said, the health protocols have somewhat changed related to quarantine protocols to reduce the number of quarantine days to 4 for those individuals, whether they're staff or their students, who are asymptomatic. Related to those individuals who had negative assessment. So now new protocols will allow asymptomatic students or staff to return after 7 days. If they passed, since 7 days passed to their actual exposure, and at the same token, they are able to change any current protocols related to the 10 or 7 days following a negative PCR assessment. So being able to expedite those who are asymptomatic, getting them back in front of our teachers, or getting them back in front of our students to make certain that instruction continues to put in place. What we will continue to do is that we will continue to have all the necessary protocols related to helping our children make sound decisions. We'll continue to make certain that we focus on hygiene, positive hygiene, with washing our hands, making certain that use wipes, using hand sanitizer in all of our classrooms. We'll continue to make certain that we social distance where possible in every one of our classrooms. We'll have directional pathways in common areas. We'll have hand sanitizers in common areas. And then we will continue to have a rapid response team to be able to create environmental deep cleans where it deems necessary, not only in our classrooms, in our common areas as well. Once again, as we look at transportation, we'll continue to make sure we provide masks for every student before they get on the bus, and they have that option, just to make certain that there's comfortability in this process. Please know that this decision isn't in isolation. I've talked to many superintendents across the state, and when you look at Pinellas County, Polk County, and we look at Pasco County, they're all taking the same stance that we are taking in Hillsborough County with making it strongly recommended mask and making them optional. But we will continue to work with our local medical experts. We'll continue to have our data dashboard that tells us, the overarching impact that COVID has on our students, in our faculty, and also in our community, so that we can make informed decisions and work collectively to be able to mitigate and reduce the number of individuals that are outside of our schools. So know that this decision isn't taken lightly, and this is another decision that, it openly could be potentially split within our community. We just asked our community to trust in us in this process, and it does give an opportunity in here for school districts to mandate mask related to, and then transition to an opt-out. But we're only a few days in front of us for school, and openly, whether you do implement that strategy versus making them strongly recommend and making them optional, the outcome becomes the same. So know that we will continue to make adjustments and strides where needed to be, and we want all of our parents to feel comfortable that we are paying attention. We understand the severity of it, and we'll continue to make certain that we create the safest environment that we can for every one of our learners in Hillsborough County.
So if I understand what you just said, there is an opportunity under what the State Board of Education today said for school districts to mandate masks?
They have an option. They said if you're going to mandate masks, you have to allow a parent to opt out. And, so now there's a form that has to be developed. That information has to get to the community. You got to communicate effectively. Then you got to have protocols that we put in place related to at the school level. And then, openly that can change influx every single day. And then, what if we mandate it and a parent, and a child doesn't wear it? I mean, we get to a point where, we're going to start sending kids home, missing the instructional times. The learning loss already was exacerbated last year, the last 16 months. We need our kids in front of us. But we will continue to work with our parents, continue to make certain we're making they're making sound decisions, and that we can further protect them in that process.
So it's more dangerous having a kid sent home because they wouldn't wear a mask, or having that kid infect 30 kids because they brought the virus in?
No, I didn't say that. We'll continue to, once again, work and allow that parent to have choice, and this is what openly the Department of Education really strong, the executive order demands. And if a parent in any way, shape, or form feels that we have intimidated, we have violated, we have pushed them to a place where they feel uncomfortable, then they can leave our school district and go to leverage the Hope Scholarship and go to a private school or to another county. So, for us, we're going to continue to put our mitigation strategies in place and further protect, our environments.
Could you develop that procedures in the background just in case the first 2 or 3 weeks you have a high infection rate that you might want to mandate masks 3 weeks into the
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to definitely kind of somewhat prepare. It's the unknown. We got, we have a high number of students that are coming back to us. We see that there's a potential surge in the surrounding communities, but we'll continue to work with our local health department, continue to watch all of our analytics on the dashboard in order to make the sound decision.
Do students have to say that they've been discriminated against before they are eligible to transfer, or can they simply say they feel discriminated or harassed by a school system's COVID policy before they even start, before the year starts, to have the opportunity to transfer?
Absolutely. They can feel that the policy puts them in a situation where they're uncomfortable, and once they acknowledge that, then we have to start the process for the school, the Hope Scholarship, and then potentially finding a location, whether it's inside of Hillsborough County or outside, or whether it's at a private school, that fits them the best.
Don't they have to adjudicate one way or the other that that's a true claim or a false claim?
No, they do not. They just have to recognize that it's yes, sir, it's a claim. And our job is through the new guidance is to make certain that we fulfill our obligation with their wishes.
And my other question is, how far does strongly recommended go? Does it stop with you, or does it go to the principal level, and does it go to the teacher level where they can talk to their classroom?
Absolutely. I've been very clear with our school principals with strongly recommending masks. So, we want to make certain that we continue to articulate that. We have made certain that every one of our schools have masks and all the PPE they need to be successful. So that's a process where we want all of our students to feel most comfortable every single day.
So how do you walk that line then? Because if you're strongly mandating masks, and there are parents out there who feel just because you've asked them to wear a mask that they are going to apply for that Hope Scholarship, how do you walk that line?
Yeah, so we're to a point where it's the parent's choice. If they feel that in any way, shape, or form that they feel that they're uncomfortable, then they get a chance to implement the process with initiate Hope Scholarships. And for us, we're strongly recommending. So right now we're not in that situation where we have to cross that bridge, but we'll go back, and as Stephen talked about, we'll go back to make certain that we are in a preparation side of it, and in order to see what happens in the coming weeks.
So are you concerned because of the financial situation Hillsborough County's in right now, Hillsborough County school system's in right now, are you concerned that there might be quite a few parents immediately saying, you know what, I don't want to hear this, and my child, a teacher said this to my child, or
Right.
A vice principal said this
Sure.
to my child, you could, in theory, lose quite a
Yeah.
few students. Are you concerned about a possible student drop?
Well, I think if one thing Hillsborough County does, they do a really good job at our individual schools, just building a solid supportive culture. So I believe right now that when we see the energy of our teachers, see the energy as our support staff and our leaders, they're really excited to embrace our children. We may have parents, some of our parents that may feel that there's some discomfort, but we will continue to pursue and meet with them to make certain they get to a psychologically safe place, that we can help them believe in us and believe what we offer so their child can stay in a district managed school. So, we'll continue to monitor the temperature of it. We'll continue to be table coaches, and we'll continue to keep our eyes on every element related to COVID so that we can continue to make informed decisions in our district.
Other school districts have implemented opt-out policies and mask
Yeah.
mandates, so what's keeping Hillsborough from doing so?
Well, you know what, we have, there's, I won't say the district, one of the district is, their policy is we strongly recommend mask within our schools, but if you want to opt out, you can. So it's not a mandate, it's just a strongly recommend you can opt out. So, we haven't seen anyone come out and say that I know of that says we are mandating mask without an opt-out. And, I don't know how you strongly recommend it and then give them an opt-out of it. So it's a parent's choice. I mean, the outcomes still remain the same related to optional versus mandating with an opt-out. So, and then once again, the fluidity of opting in, opting out, the necessary controls that you have to put in place. I mean, we're willing to take whatever we need to do, but let's just see how we start school in the next couple of days and get some further analytics within our schools to see how COVID interacts.
So
How
there's
are
also-
you preparing if there is a large outbreak of COVID in the school system?
Yeah, so I think that we would see pockets of it. We pay attention to our data dashboard every single day with our COVID commander at the school district and our COVID leads at our schools. One thing, if we see if there's a high number of quarantine students, a high number of positive cases, whether it be through students or through our employees, we'll make certain that we go out and we visit the school to determine what additional steps we can put in place to kind of strengthen our protocols. And, if we get to a part where it's just in a geographical location or it's widespread, then we got to come back to the drawing table. And I want everyone to know that our school board is really taking this very seriously. And, we have a number of school board members that openly want to mandate it with an opt-out. And we have others that understand that, the optional side may be best as well. So know that it weighs heavy on their shoulders as it weighs heavy on my shoulders. But we open on Tuesday. We've got to stay consistent in our approach. We've got to continue to make certain that our families feel, have a clear understanding of the direction in which we're going. And it says a lot when you have seasoned, qualified, highly quality, effective superintendents in the surrounding areas to see it and perceive it in the same way or making the same stance.
So there's a lawsuit that's being prepared right now that's going to be filed either tonight or tomorrow in
Yes, sir.
Hillsborough County, challenging the governor's authority
Yes, sir.
to mandate for local school districts based on home rule authority of the local school districts, saying he doesn't have that authority. If there is an injunction statewide that is joined immediately, would then Hillsborough County mandate masks?
Yes, sir. So, I haven't heard about that, implementation or that movement. I'll have to see and read the content and the language once it's presented, and then being able to look with legal internally to determine whether or not, and work with the board to determine whether or not the board has an appetite to kind of move forward in that. But I look forward to learning more about it and to kind of see where we are and what that executive order can and cannot do.
Epidemiologists and health officers are still meeting with internally with the DOH to discuss the rules that they released today. And aside from masks, I'm hearing from folks within the Department of Health itself that there are concerns among some of those new rules, particularly when it comes to quarantining and allowing students back into schools. Is that dangerous? Has the DOH taken enough steps to keep students safe with these new rules?
You know what? As I said earlier, this is going to be a fluid process. It's changing from what was sent out this morning to right now related to social distancing. And one document the Department of Health sent out, it said 6 feet. It was social distance. And another document that they updated, it says 3 feet. So we're just trying to get clarification of kind of where they're going. So we want to make certain that we are implementing the expectations. And, it depends on who you speak to. It depends on whether or not they agree or disagree with best practices or what should happen. Hopefully we continue to get a consensus of where we are related to following, reviewing CDC guidelines, working with our local health medical experts, and actually really seeing the interactions within our hallways to determine what best practices will be. So we're going to continue to learn. We learned a lot last year, and we're thankful that we opened up in a safe, social, successful manner. We'll do the same thing this year, and we'll make adjustments and strides as needed, and we'll look and lean on the Department of Health to be able to help us and drive that information.
What assurance can you give parents out there, the ones that are like, I don't want my child to wear a mask? What assurance can you give them as the school year starts that they're not going to be talked to or whatever by a teacher every day? Is it as simple as Timmy says to the teacher the first day, I don't want to wear a mask and my parent doesn't want me to, and does it end there? Or are they going to be, questioned by the teacher?
Yeah, you know what? Our job is to support the parent choice. It's very clear in the executive order. So from an educator's standpoint, we're gonna help our students be successful, whether that's wearing a mask or not. We're not going to discriminate, threaten, insult them in any way, shape, or form. We're not going to have any verbal or written conversations that should sway them anyway. But we're going to really focus on our content standards, focus on the social emotional standpoint, and really help our children become competitive inside and outside of our classrooms.
And just in regards to the absence rule, today during the public comment section, a number of parents said that their districts no longer have e-learning options in place. So
we don't either.
I just want to know, what does Hillsborough County have in place right now for at-home learning options for any students that need to?
Yes, so it's a really good question. We're going to open up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. our Hillsborough Virtual K-12 application process. That's where individuals can learn at their individualized pace, and they can learn, they'll have teachers that will be there to support them. So that's, while we don't have e-learning as we did last year, we will offer brick and mortar and Hillsborough Virtual. Hillsborough Virtual is a really good platform and opportunity for those who feel that it may be most comfortable not to engage in the brick and mortar setting. And we will have high qualified, skilled teachers, certified teachers, that will activate the knowledge and gain access to our children when they need us any particular time around the day. So that will be open until the close of business on Monday. So Saturday through Monday gives them a couple days. I know it's tight, but the window was supposed to close this week. But we want to give parents another option, another opportunity to go and apply so that they can have and make the right decision for their child educationally.
But if they do choose brick and mortar, but then they have to leave school because they need to quarantine, is there any e-learning in place for them there?
No, we will not have e-learning, but we do have a quarantine resource center that they can go on Hillsborough, schools, go on our website. And on that website, that quarantine center identifies and unpacks how a bunch of resources for children in the elementary and the high school and the secondary level that allows them to reinforce foundational skills, allows them to build upon standards being taught, Also, we have Canvas. Canvas is our informational system, how we communicate and upload our assignments with our teachers, communicate with our students, communicate with our parents, where a learner can go on and be able to be assigned work. And we can upload flip videos on tutorials where they can continue to have the instructional momentum every single day. And then for those who may not have the technology to have gained access to those resources, we ask our parents to please reach out to our schools. We will print that information out. We'll get it in your hands so your learner can continue to have that instructional momentum and be successful every day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.